Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Beta and this is A Simple Budget. Here on my channel, I show you how my family is using the zero-based budgeting method in order to maintain a simplified financial life. If that sounds like content that you're interested in, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and join our little crew here. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Right. Well, hello everyone and happy bonus content Wednesday. As you can tell by the title, I have chosen to make today my budget with me for the month of July. I just felt like it was appropriate since July is right around the corner, and I wanted to go ahead and get this up for you, especially because I've had a few questions here and there about how we've arrived at certain numbers for certain categories and stuff. And so I thought this would be a really good opportunity to answer that question. But also, I mean, we are really staring down the barrel of July, which is absolutely insane. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to grab my budget binder here. As I mentioned to you guys, if you saw my video on Monday, my cash stuffing, this is the last week of the sale in my Etsy shop. The entire thing is 20% off, and you can get things like dashboards and this budget planner, which I use and absolutely love for all of my budgeting needs. So I have it broken down into quarters of the year. And then I also have insert sections for debt payoff if you are also trying to pay debt off, and then just some annual tracking sheets and savings things and things like that. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the month of July. So this is how it's breaking down. My husband is due to be paid on July 5th and then the 19th. He is the only we'll say employed wage earner in our home. I do run my Etsy shop, which means that I do work and collect a paycheck, but his paycheck is predictable and mine is not. And so we budget differently because of that, for each of those things because of that. So let me just go ahead and grab my monthly budget overview. Despite the fact that I earn an Etsy paycheck and my husband, because of the fact that my husband is a salaried employee and his paycheck is consistent, we just do a monthly budget overview, and then I break down my cash stuffings into weekly stuffings after that. But yeah, so we just do the entirety of the budget for the month in one fell swoop. There are a lot of people who do budget by paycheck, and I actually do that for my Etsy shop. My Etsy income, which I will be posting a budget with me for that next week. So stay tuned for that if you're interested to see how we go ahead and budget for our for this what's considered side income, even though it is my predominant job right now. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and grab out just a few sheets here so that I have like a smooth writing surface. I'm not gonna keep it, well, I guess I could keep it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it in the binder, and I'll just zoom you guys in. All right, so we are super duper zoomed in here, and then we will just go ahead and get started with this. So this is how we do it. Like I mentioned, because my husband is a salaried employee, we know what his pay is going to be. And so I just put it in the total section down here. So the total income that we are planned to get from him for the month of July is $8,627.18. And so that is what we have to work with. Now, if you are unfamiliar, if you're new and you're unfamiliar with the concept of a zero-based budget means that we come up with a plan for every single dollar that is in our income. And in the case of us, we come up with a plan for the cents as well. I'll get into that later. But we don't mess around here. We come up with a plan for every penny that comes into our house. we find that being that diligent is the most effective way of achieving financial goals. And so if you've been around my channel for a while, you know that my husband and I paid off all of our consumer debt in May. So we started January of 2023 with just under $59,000 of debt, and we paid all of that off in May of this year. And so I promise you that if you are just as diligent with your finances, I would even call it borderline psychotic when you're talking about planning every penny, but we come up with a plan for every penny. You can achieve your financial goals. Pinky, pinky swear. Promise. It really does work. You have to be diligent and disciplined, but it really does work. So first step, the way to go about doing this for us is to tackle the priority things first. And obviously that's our bills and expenses. And so I'm just going to jump into this, and I'll go down and kind of explain things as we go if I feel like it needs it. But by and large, the process is really simple. So if you are trying to set up a budget, you need to think about the things, and this is sort of where you come into like how much you are. The question that I get a lot is how do you come to the numbers that you come to? So start off with the things that you know for sure first, like your rent or your mortgage. Our mortgage actually did just change, but that's because it was like reassessed or something. And so now our mortgage is $2,345.87. So that did go down for us, which is nice. After the whatever assessment they did, I'm very grateful for that. So that's what our mortgage is now. It was like $2,400 and something. So we definitely appreciate that little bump in our income. Next up is our water bill. And this is one that I would encourage you. I mean, obviously you have to, when you're coming up with a plan for your budget, you have to think about the high priority things. So think of like mortgage, utilities, insurance, stuff like that. All of those things go on this section of my monthly budget overview here when I'm coming up with a plan for the budget. And our water bill is one that fluctuates every month. So if you get an opportunity, if you're trying to set up a budget, my recommendation to you would be to look at your 2 highest months and your 2 lowest months as far as like what you've paid over the course of a year, and then average it out, and then that is what you should save for your water bill every single month. So you don't want to, there's no need for you to put aside your highest dollar amount because, you're not going to use that much water every single month, unless you're trying to like do a situation where you're getting like a month ahead on all of your bills or whatever, then maybe there would be a reason for you to go ahead and to just set aside enough money every single month for your highest water bill. But my recommendation, if you're just trying to figure out like a generic budget that works for you, is to look at your high 2 and your low 2 as far as your bills are concerned, and then average that out and then put that aside. So for us, we put aside $110 a month, roughly. Sometimes we'll bump that up if we feel like it hasn't been enough, but so far we're okay doing that. Our life insurance never changes, and so that's one that we can count on being the same every single month. It's $42.06. And then next up, our car insurance fluctuates. This one, I don't recommend doing this, what I said with the water bill, where you look at your high 2 and your low 2. With car insurance, we just try to, okay, I thought I was interrupted by a child. I was interrupted by Mr. Simple, so. Yeah, you were. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so I don't remember what I was saying, but basically, I was saying that car insurance does fluctuate, but it's not significant. So we just put like $5 more than like what our most expensive one has been. So we are putting $120 toward it this month. Jiu-jitsu, my husband and son both train jiu-jitsu. And so this one never changes from month to month either. It's $187.38. Internet next up, and this also never changes for us. It is $55.58. And then next up after that is our phone bill. This is our cell phone bill. I've been talking all the time about changing to a cheaper and better, more reliable service plan. Currently we have Verizon and they are terrible in the DFW area. I have lived on both the Dallas and the Fort Worth sides of the DFW Metroplex, and Verizon is terrible no matter which side you're on. So we do want to switch to T-Mobile because the T-Mobile CEO lives in this area, and so the service here is just better. We just haven't made the move to do that yet. It is unfortunately not a priority for us. And so currently we are budgeting $115 a month for our cell phone bill. Next up is electric. This is one that like the water bill, I would say look at your high two and your low two, figure out what your average is and put that aside every month. That's what we do for our electric bill because it changes all the time. It just depends on the time of year and what, if we've got our AC running or not or whatever. So it is currently $200 a month that we are putting toward it. Our groceries is always a topic of great discussion around here. Our grocery bill is really high. We do not eat out. I'm also concerned. We have dietary concerns in the house, et cetera, et cetera. And so our current grocery budget is $1,900 a month, which is absolutely insane. It is almost the cost of our mortgage. Trust me, I know. It drives me crazy too. Gasoline is up next. This is what it just costs us every month to use our vehicle. We have one family vehicle and we spend about $150 a month on gas. Actually, I don't even think we spend that, but we're over right now, but we do have like vacations and things planned. And so it's good for us to have a little bit of a buffer in our gasoline category. So it works out. Household and toiletries. Now, this is one that I have been asked specifically, like, how did you arrive at these numbers? And this is what I'm going to tell you. It's mostly a shot in the dark. If you're starting a budget, I would encourage you to look at your last maybe like 3 months of expenses and take a look specifically at what you're spending on toiletries and household and just try to come up with an average based off of that. That's sort of how we did it. And I would say that as far as budgetary needs go, it is these are the two categories of our budget that I feel like we're always trying to scrape some money into from other categories, or like if we do get some extra money from somewhere that's like unexpected, I'm always putting money into household and toiletries because it is one that I just swear I cannot nail down properly. So if it helps, I'm still in the struggle bus and we have been budgeting like this for a year and a half. So right now, last month I did 70 in household and 80 in toiletries, and I'm going to maintain that this month because I feel like it's working, but you never know. We'll find out. I feel like we go through these ebbs and flows where it's like sometimes we're buying a ton of household and toiletry items, and then we're not buying a ton of household and toiletry items, and I just can't keep it straight. So anyways, I know that's not very helpful, but it at least gives you some sort of an idea. We're never too far off from this. Like if we weren't in the middle right now of trying to save up our emergency fund with the same level of intensity that we saved up we paid off our debt, then I would say I would probably bump each of these up another like $10 to $15 a month, maybe, but I don't know that for certain. I will come to that conclusion maybe eventually one day when we've saved up our 6 months of emergency funds, but we'll figure it out. Anyways, next up we have subscriptions, and this is just the variety of different like Apple Music and Netflix and all that kind of fun stuff. So currently it's sitting at $64.75 a month. We're not going to really change this, but we have decided to like change which services we're using at which times of year. So we'll be mixing it up, but we want to hit somewhere in that number. So next up is pest control. Whoops. This service comes out to our house once a quarter. And and we pay them once a quarter, but we save up for it every single month. It's a sinking fund. So we are putting $43 toward it. That's how much we need in order to have the service. Taxes is up next. This just pays the person who prepares our taxes for us. And oh my gosh, this pen is like quitting on me. It is $30 a month. Next up is our HOA, and it is $17 a month to get us to, I don't know, I think it's like just under $200 for a year is what our HOA is. Sorry if you can hear my kids in the garage. They are loud, and it's like right next to where I am. Finance Coach is up next, and this is just a subscription service that we pay for through my husband's work that makes basically recommendations for where to move retirement funds. And so obviously if this was something that everybody could benefit from, I would share it with everybody, but it is job specific. So, but we pay $60 annually for the subscription service, and it just costs us $5 a month. And it is worth it. I feel like people are like, oh, this is just like a random subscription or something. Are you even benefiting from it? And we are tremendously. The gentleman who watches the stock market in a way that we just don't understand because we are laymen, he's a little bit more savvy with it and watches the stock market and makes recommendations for where my husband should move his retirement funds at any given quarter. And I think it's quarterly, or maybe it's monthly, I don't know. But either way, the subscription is absolutely worth it because we make much, much more in the retirement fund than we're paying for the subscription service annually. So it works out. Union dues is up next. This is also specific to my husband's job, and it costs us $15 a month to save up for the annual fee that we're charged for that. Let me just make sure I'm still in frame. I am. Next up, these next two are actually not high priorities. I just put them over here. Actually, I don't even think I need to now because I have space over on the sinking fund side. So I'll wait and put them on the sinking fund side. So what I do now is just add up the total of this section. Actually, this calculator, I'm right-handed, so this calculator, I'm trying to keep everything in frame, but it's difficult. I'm going to go ahead and add this up. I'll zoom you guys through that and bring you back with the total of this section at the end. Okay, so the total for this section is $5,550.64. And then what we do from here is we move over into our sinking funds categories, because these are like the crux of things that we are saving up for over the course of the year that we'll use from time to time, but they are not super important categories some of them are super important categories in our budget, but they don't go over with bills and expenses because bills and expenses are more direct, acute, like we're paying for these things every single month kind of things, or they're just high priorities in our life, like paying for the person who does our taxes. This stuff over here is much more sporadic in terms of its usage, and is just more something that we're like saving for throughout the year. So let's jump into it and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Car expenses is first up. So obviously this is a priority, but it's not something we spend from regularly, which is why it's a sinking fund. We're just putting money toward it every single month to prepare for the need that we might need to use this money for, like an oil change or replacing our tires, like that sort of stuff. So anyways, it gets $57 a month. And that's partly because this $7 actually is to save up for our annual car registration. And so the 50 is for, saving up for a car related expense or emergency. The 7 is for what did I just say? Car registration. Next up is home maintenance. This is just if anything in our house bites the bullet. And we are putting $50 toward this month in our main budget. But If you guys recall, I was employed for the last year and a few months, but I just recently lost my job. And a few of you have asked if I'm going to get another job. And for the time being, I'm just going to stay home. I may look into getting a job once my kids go back to school again. But for the time being, we're just sort of living off of my husband's paycheck and my Etsy and YouTube income. So we'll see how that goes. It could change at a moment's notice, but right now we're kind of happy with where things are. But because of that, what I'm doing now is I'm budgeting the dollars that we know that we're going to get in for the month of July. And then for some of these categories, home maintenance being one of them, I'm putting what I want to earmark for my Etsy and YouTube pay off to the side. So I would like to add $50 into home maintenance from my Etsy and YouTube pay, just to help supplement what I wish we were giving it in our monthly, my husband's income monthly budget. So that's how we are doing this right now while I don't bring in a reliable income. Next up is medical. And this one is getting $75 in our regular budget. And I'm going to, if I'm able to, put $25 toward it with with my side income. Next up is clothes. This mostly just takes care of clothing for my kids. We're putting $50 toward it this month. And I'm going to add an additional $25 to it if I'm able to with Etsy and YouTube. Haircuts is up next. This pays for my husband and children's haircuts, and we are budgeting $70 for that, if the pen would write it. Next up is this is my husband's spending money, and he gets $50 a month. Whoops. And then my spending money, I get $175. This also includes the cost for my haircut as well. Dine out is up next. Oops. And we are budgeting $30. And then if I am able, we will add $20 to it from Etsy and YouTube. Dates is up next. And it is also going to be getting $30. I'm not like pressed about adding to it from Etsy and YouTube. If I have the spare cash, I will. But this is one we're fine with where it is right now. Family fun is up next, and I am budgeting $30 for this one, and I am not adding to it from Etsy or YouTube. Gifts is up next, and gifts is getting $40, and it's not being supplemented. Partay, on the other hand, is getting $45, and then if I am able to, I'm going to supplement it $30 from Etsy and YouTube. Back to school is up next for us. This helps I really just need to call it school, because we pay for our kids' school supplies through this, but then we also pay for school pictures, field trips, dances, just anything that comes up throughout the year that you pay for. We are budgeting $30 for this one, and then I'm going to go ahead and add $20 to it from Etsy and YouTube whenever I get paid, and if we have the opportunity. Next are our little holidays. We've got Valentine's Day. We put $5 a month toward that. Easter, we put $7 toward that. Halloween, we put $12 toward Halloween. Thanksgiving, I'll just put thanks there, and it's getting $25. And then we've got Christmas, which we budget $275 a month for. And then last up, our pool membership, which gets $32 a month, and our vacation, which I am budgeting $50 for. And if I have a chance, actually, I'd like to add to that Yeah, I think I'm going to add another $50 to that. I didn't write that on my original notes, but I think I'm going to. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and add this up really quickly. Okay, so $1,138. And then I'm gonna just go ahead really quickly and add up the supplemental money over here so that I know kind of what I need, my goal amount for the month of July, 2050. So I'm looking at needing $220 extra from Etsy and YouTube. And then I'm gonna have to probably move my candle out of the way so I can get you guys in frame. Do I have you in frame? Yes. So moving down here, we have in our savings, currently we are saving up for our emergency fund, which is 6 months of expenses. And then we have small investment accounts for our son and daughter. So I'm just gonna put boy and girl. And then, so our goal every month, so for our son and daughter, we put $25 a month into their little investment accounts. So our goal every month for our emergency fund right now is $2,000. So let me just go ahead and do some math here. So we're starting off with $8,627.18. I get that right? Yes. Our first section of bills and expenses took away $5,550.64. And then this section down here took away $1,138. And so that leaves us with $1,938.54. But I'm going to subtract this the $50 that are going into my son and daughter's investment accounts. And so that leaves us with a total of $1,888.54. And so what I have to do now, since our goal is to hit $2,000 in our emergency fund, I'm going to just put minus 2,000. And that means that in addition to this $220 here for sinking funds, I need to come up with $111.46 from my Etsy income to be able to get us up to our goal of $2,000 a month for our emergency fund. So that means, though, that every dollar of our budget is planned for, and I'll show you. So $1,888.54 plus the $50 for my son and daughter's, what did I just say? Investment accounts is $1,938.54. And then add that to the sinking fund section, so $1,138. And the bills and expenses section, which is $5,550.64, adds up to $8,627.18, which is the salary that we are working with in order to build our budget. And so then over here, I am going to have to supplement a total of $331.46. So I have to make at least $331.46 between Etsy and YouTube this month in order to hit our baseline financial goals. Anything after that, we treat as supplemental income. And with our supplemental income, we also buffer up like non-essential or low priority things in our lives that we wish we could put a little bit money toward. But we are just not right now because our goal is to really tackle this emergency fund. So I hope that this made sense for you guys. I hope that I helped to make you understand that when it comes to arriving at what numbers to put at everything, start first with the numbers that you know never change and then try to average out the rest of it so that you can make sure that you're funneling enough money to each category so that you're not going into debt in order to cover for an expense that you didn't think about. You know what I mean? And like I said, if you guys ever have any questions, please leave them down below. I do see your questions. Right now, I'm still trying to catch up on comments just because my Etsy shop sale has gone so well and I'm working really hard to get those orders out. And I just haven't had the time to go through comments, but I do see your comments. And I try to answer questions to the best of my ability whenever I can. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys back out, and then we will go ahead and finish out this video. All right, well, that's going to do it for me for today's bonus content, today's video. As I've mentioned before, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. The very last thing that I want anything of my content to do is to confuse anybody who may be new to this system and this way of budgeting. I want this to be seamless and streamlined for you so that you can also kind of take hold of your finances and achieve financial freedom or whatever goodies that you want to do with your own personal finances. And I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, I would love it so much if you would give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. And keep an eye on, maybe if you're a veteran budgeter yourself, and if you see any comments that that you could be helpful with. I want this to be a community of people who can come here and learn and grow and teach others about the possibilities that you can achieve when you have financial freedom. So I want that for all of us. And as for me, I will be back here with you guys again on Friday with our weekly check-in. And I hope that you guys have a great week until then. And I will see you on Friday. Bye, everyone.